inhale. And then breathe naturally. You're breathing through your nose unless you have a cold or something, you have to breathe through your mouth. And that's usually a way it helps you kind of come into the room, come into your body, be present. So we're going to do that for 7 breaths. And I'll just count the first 3 and allow you to finish to 7. And then some of the people here were bear attention. One of the things we practiced last week was bear attention. Is once you've counted the breaths, you can, to 7, stop counting and just pay attention to your inhale and exhale. Every little item of it, that you can notice, that the cooler air coming in, the warmer air going out. And thoughts will intrude as that happens. And just notice them, let them go. Notice them, you let them go. And we're just going to do that for a few minutes. So, one, 2, 3, let's see, a key piece of housekeeping I forgot. We are attempting to record this, unfortunately. So if you ask a question, Chris, you want people to use the mic? Okay. And the mistake I always make with these handheld mics is I always have them too far away. It's kind of like you're almost ready to eat your ice cream cone, and that seems to be the way it works best. And I will also try to repeat the question, partly to make sure I'm clear on what it is. So thank you. Please feel free to correct me if I didn't hear it correctly. So this is a check-in for the people that were here last week. I'm really sorry that the person that was here that was going to give us a report on whether or not it was better for her to meditate before she exercised and went to the gym in the morning or when she got home and showered. So, well, maybe she'll come back and we'll find out. But so can anybody share a little bit? Were they even able to do any of it? Did they even think about doing it? I rejoice if you even thought about doing it but didn't do it. That's great. In terms of what we did last week, or any questions?
Hello?
Yeah, I think you were.
Yeah, I did it every night.
Wow. Well, I can see the aura. You're shinier. Was it beneficial? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I apologize if I did.
I couldn't really tell the difference.
What?
I couldn't tell the difference.
Couldn't tell a difference. Well, you might have already been enlightened. What can you say? You know.
I've been doing it anyway.
Yeah. So okay. Well, I'm glad. Wow. Yippee. Thanks, Rose. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I didn't do it every day, but I did it probably half the time.
Wow.
And a huge amount of it for me is habit. I have to get up early enough in the morning instead of jumping out of bed. But I know, I do feel better. My day is much better.
Is it?
When I started? It seems like it. Yeah. You'd think I could build that habit more effectively, but
Isn't that interesting that when we know what works and we're still, I mean, and I don't mean you, I mean human beings, we kind of know what works, and it's the 10 minutes or the 15 minutes with the head protecting your pillow seems more important at the moment. Any questions? Okay, so, well, I must acknowledge that for whatever reason, and you'd think last week I would have been more nervous, and this week I would be less nervous, but it seems to be going the other way. Go figure. So what is the mind? Oh, go ahead, please. Oh, please.
So I'm going through a positive.
Oh, good job.
Positive transition in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'm heady,
Mm.
and if I want to not grounded,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to be grounded, and I'm wondering if meditation, your experience, whether you're nervous or heady or fearful, whatever it is, taking that into the meditation. I tried that. I found it difficult to do. I ended up doing some yogic breathing, which was helpful. But just wondering if you have anything to say about going into meditation when a lot going on emotionally.
So what she's asking is when either your mom, let's see, she used the word heady in terms of a very positive experience, or nervous, possibly, but your mind isn't even. You know, there's a lack of evenness. I heard kind of two questions. One, how do you go into the meditation if you are in that state? And two, if you are able to settle into the meditation, can it benefit you?
Well, I'm sure the answer to the second question is yes.
Okay.
It's just about getting settled.
Well, guess what? She's a plant. One of the things we're going to talk about tonight is when your mind is extremely unsettled, a method called 9-round breathing to kind of clear the channels and bring your body and into kind of more of your mind, your physical being. Because when you're heady, there's a little more adrenaline going on. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that's not just your head happening, and kind of clears the energy channels and kind of brings you more into center. So thank you for being my plant tonight. I really am grateful, and we'll be getting to that. Okay? Great. So what is the mind? This is one of the things I'd like to say about anything I am saying here is it is meditation 101, and it is happening at a Buddhist center. So please, everything I'm going to say about meditation, I'm really presenting as a hypothesis for you to try on and see if it works for you. And some of the things I'm going to present in terms of definitions are from the Buddhist perspective, in terms of what, if you asked a neuroscientist what the mind is, and you asked a Buddhist what the mind is, there would be some points of agreement, but there would certainly be some divergent points. I'm going to be talking about the mind from the Buddhist perspective, not from the Tibetan Buddhist perspective. You could go to any Buddhist tradition, and this is what you would hear about the mind. So it dawned on me that I should clarify that. Okay. So in Buddhism, what is the mind? First of all, in Buddhism, the mind is totally non-material. That's a hard one. Not sure I get it yet. No, totally non-material. But the thing, in terms of day-to-day life, what really kind of matters is that its actual nature, its actual nature is clarity. It isn't all the clutter of the thoughts that we have. It's very spacious, it's very open, it's clear. And its function is to know. And that's why last week when I said, if you think meditation is making your mind a blank, well, sorry, ain't going to happen, because if the function of the mind is to think, to know, well, it's just not going to stop doing it. It'd be like telling your lungs, please stop. I don't like your function. I don't want you to breathe anymore. The body wouldn't be happy very long. So it's clear and it's awareness. So how are the mind and the body connected? Well, if the mind is non-material from this perspective, I just got lost. Okay. For it to function, there is an interdependence with the body. I mean, the mind would exist if there was no brain, but to function in this realm, in this world, with these bodies, it needs a brain to manifest. The reason I'm making this point is that there's a lot of, I mean, and I'm not questioning neuroscience. I was a clinical social worker for 30 years, so I mean, bless science for some of the medications that have benefited people, so that they're not suffering quite as much as they were. So I'm not, but if all we are is biology, if the only thing our mind is biology, then it's really hard to think about how do we have any control over being happy and ending our suffering. Does that make kind of sense to anybody? Am I? So yeah, we need the brain, for it to function, but finally, the mind is bigger, is more than and different than the brain, and it's that ability to think that enables us to choose happiness, to choosing to be quiet. Okay. So how is it possible to calm? One teacher of ours, there are other people in the room refer to, how do you make friends with the roommates that live in our mind and are probably late on the rent, or the committee, or whatever. How do we, some of us come to meditation saying, I just want them to shut up. And it would really be better if they moved out. 65 years later, none of them have moved out, but we get along a lot better. And so, again, come back to meditation in terms of meditation is an opportunity to look within, become familiar. And I think the thing that the part about meditation that I'll talk more about here is that there's a huge difference between discrimination and judgment. Judgment, and I mean, one could use them synonymously, but in this culture, if one isn't talking, discrimination is, that's dark red, that's blue. You're discriminating colors. You're not judging whether red is good and blue is bad. And so the reason I try to stay away from the word judging is that an awful lot of our internal dialogue is not looking at the difference between the thoughts. Is this thought useful? Is this thought not useful? It's like, that's bad, that's good. I've got to get rid of that. Okay? So one of the ways that one of the techniques in this in Buddhism in terms of meditation for lightening up the dialogue is the fact that our mind, how do I say this? Our mind is like the sky, and the thoughts that come through it are like the clouds. And the clouds are always changing, and they're always moving. And if you kind of sit there, if you're the sky, if you think about watching the thoughts, it's like, well, I don't need to get too wrapped up in that thought because it's going to be gone in a little while. They're going to move. They were sure moving tonight. So that's a way. And so there's this particular meditation that once you've, kind of done some breathing and calmed yourself, that says, think about your mind as the sky, that it's open and it's clear. And as thoughts come up, they're just clouds that are moving along. And you can observe them, you can notice them. You can even say, yeah, that's a gray one, maybe rain. I hope, that one's going to pass by. Oh, I like that one. That's pretty. It looks like an elephant. But you're not, and you're just kind of watching them. Not kind of, you are watching them. And how does that help? Well, what it helps is if we can, when a thought wants to take hold, I'll use an example. The thought that wants to take hold is, since I have moved, my Verizon reception is not as good. And I called the Verizon people, and they, of course, gave me the perfect solution that hasn't worked. Well, I haven't had time to call Verizon back, right? So what I've been doing during the day, when I pick up the phone and I lose a call in my apartment, I go, I don't have time to call Verizon now. This is fine. I'm not going to get it, I'm just going to, it will have its place. Now, I know that sounds very silly and minor to people, but I could give myself, 5 minutes of being annoyed at the Verizon people and already arguing with the person that's going to answer the phone and trying to help me. And I'm saying this because I've done it, and I don't know if anybody else in this room has done that, okay? And if you haven't, well, I guess no, never mind. So if I can see my annoyance with the Verizon, my difficulty with the Verizon people is one of those rain clouds that's just going to move on out, and that there is a solution that's going to be a pretty cloud that I'm going to like, that's going to come on by, or maybe it's going to be another rain cloud, and it'll be, I don't waste as much energy. I'm not as tired. And as I said, I do not know if that's true for any. So believe it or not, the habit of thinking about your thoughts and practicing that, what I have heard people say and what's happened for me is, during the day when I want to get engaged with something that's not going to be beneficial, or might be, it's like, there's a phrase in another spiritual program that is, this too shall pass. So we're going to try, we get to vote. We can do mind like the sky or mind like the ocean, because the ocean has waves, which are the same kind of thing. The waves come and they go, and there's the tide. So which one do you want to do? Want to do mind like the sky or mind like the ocean? Mind like the sky? Good. Okay. Those that speak up first get it. Okay. Something I forgot to do at the beginning of the class is, one of the things we talked about before last week is that it's really nice to, before you begin doing any activity, to set a motivation, a positive motivation. It's kind of like the athletes do. They set a positive motivation in terms of, how's it going to go? And so set up, and we can do it for each meditation, but what I'd like to do is just set it for the entire evening. Everyone here took time out of, chose to use their time to come here tonight to hopefully get some positive benefit for their mind. That was a kind intention to yourself, to take good care of yourself. And by taking good care of yourself, probably, my experience is, you take good care of yourself and the people around you benefit. So that by taking good care of ourselves, may the result of that is that we benefit all the beings we come in contact with. And all of the time we spend here tonight, now that as we do this meditation, is for that. That's our motivation for being here, And if you have another motivation that works better for you, that's positive, except for shoot Bill, fine. I prefer you didn't, set the motivation to shoot Bill tonight. But if you need to. So for the people that are new, was it clear in terms of just, beginning? Every meditation we do, we will begin with taking just a few breaths to watch our inhale and exhale, probably for about 30 seconds. And then I will start talking about the visualization in terms of the mind like the sky. From my perspective, this meditation is extremely wordy because I've heard from people saying, people want me to watch my mind. I wish they'd stop talking. Okay. I'm pretty much going to do this meditation as it was presented, which may seem kind of wordy, but I'm going to be looking for feedback from people because as we do other meditations, we can adjust it and I can use fewer words. So I'd really like information from what works for people in the room. Okay? So settle yourself in a comfortable position that works for you. As you start to watch your breath, it is good to start with an exhale and then begin watching on that first inhale. And we're going to do that for about 30 seconds. So let's start by doing the bare attention of just continuing to watch your breath as the anchor, and as thoughts arise, just letting them arise, not engaging with them, letting them pass. Some may be positive, some neutral, some not so pleasant. To give you an idea how many thoughts we have, there's one text that says that in the snap of a fingers, there are 51 mental moments. Now, allow your attention to expand. To encompass your entire sphere of experience. See if you can forget that there is an observer and something being observed. Your mind, your consciousness is like the sky. It's clear. It's spacious. Take a few breaths here. Our minds are completely clear, just as the sky is completely clear. The light of the sun shines down on us through the clear sky. Our awareness and wisdom shines through the clarity of our minds, showing us the clarity of our minds. You know, sometimes when it's a really cloudy day, we'll say the sky is gray. But the sky hasn't changed colors. It isn't the clouds. It isn't the rain. It isn't the wind. Our mind is not our thoughts. They come and they go. Can you watch the thoughts and emotions that arise in your mind like you watch the clouds? Sometimes moving fast, sometimes moving slow. Sometimes just seeming to dissolve. And rather than like clouds, sometimes our thoughts are like racing trains, noisily running through our mind. But even those pass. Whenever we identify with and get carried away by the wind and the clouds, we lose that sense of spaciousness and clarity. We lose the capacity to be aware of the other thoughts and feelings. When we hold on too tightly to a thought, we get stuck. So allow the wind to move the clouds through the clarity and spaciousness of your mind. And if this isn't, you're getting too distracted and it seems overwhelming, just come back to the breath. Hello. comments?
So I noticed that at some point there were no thoughts going by, but there were sensations in my body that would call my attention. Like I had a muscle here that felt sore, and then my attention went there, and then suddenly I started getting a lot of thoughts about what's going on. Why do I have this? What do I do to position it again? And I was thinking, are those sensations, those physical sensations, thoughts? Thoughts of the body saying, hey, this doesn't feel good, or do
Yeah,
something
good
about it.
question. Interesting. Let's see if I can. In Buddhist terms, it would be the physical sensation, okay, and then there would be it would arise as this pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, okay, and then unpleasant, tight, sore, pain, and then from there. We would how do I say this? Then that's where the story starts. That's where the story starts. I mean, so it's the fact that the body has a feeling. Something happened to nerves or muscles. They went like this. You noticed it. It said, no, I would like less of this, not more of this. That's the definition of pleasant, unpleasant. Pleasant being, yes, it can continue. Unpleasant, I would like it to stop immediately. Thank you very much. Neutral, like, but then the story, as you said, is where's it coming from? What's causing it? Should I do something about it? In other words, the feeling, the sensation, becomes the support or the trigger for all the thoughts. The feeling is not, the physical act of a nerve firing is not a thought. As soon as we start to discriminate, is it pleasant, unpleasant? And that's what I was. Thank you for the question, because I think you've illustrated wonderfully, and hopefully my explanation has illustrated somewhat the interdependence of what's the point of having a mind if there's not anything to cognize? So, does that answer your question a little bit?
Yes, and it brings another question, which is the like dislike. Is that an emotion?
What?
The like dislike. I don't like that my back is
That's
feeling
not
sore.
an emotion. That's a thought. Neutral. It's funny. Positive, and I guess that's right. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. That is a. If it's happening in your shoulder, there are, oh gosh, should I go into that? Probably not. In Buddhism, okay, in this tradition, and I won't spend a whole bunch of time here, okay, there are 6 primary consciousness: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, no consciousness. This would be like body, touch, whatever. So yeah, there was a body consciousness that was a pain, but then the mental consciousness, which is the 6th one, is the one that began labeling it, and they work together. it's very hard to disaggregate them. But the point of disaggregating it like that is to say, okay, something is firing. It, you know, my mind is telling me it doesn't feel good. You know, I don't like, it hurts. You know, can I breathe into it? This will pass. This is a, you know, a mental moment. It's not, I am not the pain. Now, when you're in excruciating pain, it's really, really hard to think that you're not the pain. I mean, will this ever end? It's permanent. It's not going to stop and stuff. So, and I apologize. That's not a very good explanation because it doesn't really kind of fit where we're at. But as soon as there's a sensation and as soon as we begin labeling it, it is moved from sensation or a bodily function to thought.
Thank you.
Does that?
Yes, perfect. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you. And if you would like to add anything, Miss Jill, my coach. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Wordy, not wordy enough, too wordy. I mean, it would be different for different people, but somebody has to have an opinion, but you can keep it. What?
I thought the train was helpful.
You use the train well.
Oh, it's a plan. Amtrak will be calling for my fee. Okay. So we can do mind like notion, or yes, okay. We're not gonna do that for quite as long because I want to make sure we get to the 9-round breathing and have plenty of time to practice that and feel comfortable with it. It's not particularly complicated, but it confused going like this and this. It confused me, so we'll get there. So, anybody need to wiggle squiggle? I'm going to change position. Please wiggle and squiggle as you need. Okay. Well, again, as we settle, please, you know, give your mind a wonderful pat on the head for the fact that you've taken the time to give your mind some space and, you know, take care of yourself. I just think it's wonderful. So let's, for 30 seconds, again, just go back to watching our breath. Take a deep exhale before you start. And if you're comfortable with watching your breath, start to let go, if you can, of the observer and the observed. Think of your mind as the ocean. So vast, spacious, no end on the horizon. Take a few breaths here. There's a couple of ways of thinking about your mind as the ocean. The ocean is just filled with fish. Some big, some little. And not just fish. There's clams and oysters and shrimp and all sorts of stuff. Beings. And sometimes it's hard to even realize there's water because you're so busy watching the fish. The fish are like your thoughts. Sometimes there's a big school of them. Sometimes there's a big school of them running away from a big shark. And the ocean just lets it all be. Yet without the ocean, there wouldn't be any fish. So the mind is this wonderful, spacious place. That allows our thoughts to arise and pass. And of course, that's only if we're underneath the ocean. Well, but if you're closer to the surface, there are the waves. Sometimes they're gentle rolling waves. Sometimes pounding, huge, scary waves. And they pass. And even the same huge wave that if you're 20 feet from shore would knock you down, 20 feet further in, they would only tickle your toes. So think, here's the ocean. Here are my thoughts. They rise, they can seem so powerful. and then they roll on and drop away. So, you can think about the fish for a few minutes and watching them go and letting them go, kind of noting their colors or their size or their speed. You can think of the waves, or you can think of dolphins frolicking in the waves. We'll stay with this for a couple of minutes and enjoy the space of the ocean, the support it gives. Okay. Well, I haven't been very timely. It's about 8 minutes after 8. Want to try and end on time. So I guess I'm going to ask a couple of questions just for reflection, and then we'll have more time, but I really want to get into the 9-round breathing. From the little bit we've done tonight, does it make sense to anyone here that watching your thoughts rise and go and giving them permission to go by and not engaging in the story could add some kind of comfort, some ease, or maybe evenness to your life? Does that, I'm seeing a couple of heads nodding. People don't have to comment. I'm just curious. What I'm supposed to do next is a long 10-minute lecture on how meditating allows you to make choices and detach from negative thoughts. But that's what we've been practicing all night. Does it make sense that that might work? You know, I mean, not that we can't talk about it, but it's like, you know, if it's already making sense to you, it seems like I'm, you know, why restate the obvious? uh, one of there's one is a lot of the stories we tell about what things are is it's a lie. That's one teacher says and there's a teacher named Pema Chodron that says that when we grab thoughts and hang on to them and cause ourselves misery, she says, don't bite the hook. You know, so the thing about the breath is, I'm gonna say that people begin to notice, and maybe you have already noticed, is that when you inhale and before you exhale, there's just kind of like this tiny window of space. Sometimes, I mean, you don't, you know, there's a window there, and if you haven't noticed it, maybe start paying a little bit of attention to that. Is your back hurting again, Rose? Not too bad. Yeah. Feel free to standing up or walking around would help. Please take care of yourself. That space, if you continue kind of just even watching your breath, you will begin to notice that little space. And the reason that little space is important is that that's the space where you get to make the choice about whether I'm going to take a deep breath and not go for the jugular, or when you don't pay any attention, if you're anything like me, the mouth is open, the words are coming out, and then I have to go make an amends. So it's the whole, just watching your breath, you know, kind of, when you become aware of that space, it really can transfer to that little window in your life where you can start, instead of just reacting, choosing. And people may have already begun to notice that little bit of space or not, but I invite you to kind of say, oh yeah, I don't automatically, you know, there's a gap there. Well, that gap is there in everything. Is always there between the trigger and what we do with it. And that's what meditation can kind of help you begin to latch onto, is not the reaction, but the space. Okay. So, we're going to do 9-round breathing. And the reason, let me introduce this a little bit. This is a very, very old technique. One of the resident teachers here says that it well predates Buddhism. The Vedic practitioners, Hindu practitioners were doing it. It probably predates Buddhism by a couple of thousand years. And I don't even know how much it may predate, you know, prior to that. Okay. The other, what it is supposed to do, the whole goal of it is, it's a very good thing. Some people do it before they even start counting their breath. It's how they'll anchor themselves. What's nice about it is you can do one set of 9-round breathing in about, you know, 30 or 40 seconds. And if you're really needing to calm yourself, it's one of those things you can do at stoplights. You can do stuck in traffic. You can do, probably couldn't do it at a committee meeting very discreetly, but you could leave the room for a minute. So I think actually, I'm not sure. Jill, no, I guess it will. Okay, so some people say use this finger, but it's kind of rude to use this finger, in this culture. And some people, this finger, that's there's actually a couple of hand gestures in Tibetan ritual, and one of my teachers said, "No, go like this now. Don't go like this. They get very upset in America." So the Buddha was always for making people feel comfortable in their skins, and it was okay to change fingers if you were going to insult half the audience with that hand gesture. So take your left hand and close your left nostril, and I'm not good at reversing it, people. So I know yoga teachers are really good at that, but take your left hand. And what we're going to do for 3 counts is we're going to breathe in through our right, then move our finger and close our right nostril and breathe out through our left. And we're going to do that for three breaths. Okay? So now take your right hand and close your right nostril and do 3 more breaths. In through your left and out through your right for 3 breaths. Now take 3 normal breaths through both nostrils. Okay. Okay, we'll just go all the way through it this time. So starting with your left hand, close your left nostril. Right hand, right nostril. Three breaths, both nostrils. Are people comfortable just doing that on their own? They need me to lead you through it one more time? Yeah. Sure.
What is the position of the hands? Should it be this or this? When you're,
Oh. What?
I mean, I always learned it like this.
Okay. From
But I
Geshe-la,
see
right?
you doing it like this.
Yeah.
No, I learned this from my grandfather.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
So,
Okay.
but I noticed you're doing it like this with your
Yeah,
fist.
yeah, that's good. Actually, I'm trying to think when I see Geshe-la and he'll go like that. Yeah. Ring finger or the index finger. Yeah. I don't think there's a right or wrong. It's more coming back and forth. Not and stuff. So, but that's a good question. I think there may be because it is all about the energy channels. So it may, yeah. So thank you for that, and I'll check it out.
Is it the purpose of that exercise for you to see that window more clearly? The window between, when you take the breath in and out, or not necessarily?
I've not heard of it. I mean, I can see how it could help you see the window more clearly, but that's not well, since 5,000 years ago, I don't think we have much written about it. I'll reserve my answer. So are people comfortable going through that on their own? Okay. You're so much better than I was. I was so confused. Right and left is just not a happy place for me. So what I would like you to do is do 4 rounds on your own. Just probably take about 2 minutes. Just do 4 rounds on your own, and then I'll talk a little bit about how it is, how it works with the energy channels. Okay. So yes. Yeah, 36 breaths. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Could you? Sorry, he's coming with one immediately. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Does it matter if you're left-handed or right-handed?
No, you still
do the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't switch over or
No.
anything. Okay.
No. He said it doesn't matter if you're right or left-handed. Right, but
Okay.
but you still start with your left hand. You don't use, because if you're left-handed, you don't start with your right. Oh, please don't completely confuse me. But yes, it's a good question, but no.
I have a question.
Ye-
When I switch sides, do I switch hands, or do I just use the same?
No, you switch hands. Yeah, use right hand, left nostril, right hand, right nostril. And again, her question about, do you do this, because it is about energy channels. And so you're, because she said to me, I did this as opposed to her grandfather taught her to do this. And I told her I would find out from my teachers if I'm teaching you incorrectly, and there's a better way to do it. And so, yes, 34 rounds, 9 breaths each round. Okay? Okay. So, all we did this week with actually, I didn't give you guys any time to talk to each other. I'm sorry. Next week we'll start with everybody getting to talk to each other. It's part of my job. But what I'd like to, how I'd like to finish class is, first of all, I'm going to start with your homework. Continue to practice the bare attention. Oh, for the new people, and I'm sorry, for the new people, if you go to the website, Kadampa Center, and you look under spiritual program, you will see Meditation 101. And if you click on that, all the handouts are there in terms of the meditation exercises and all the directions. So I will, okay. So practice this week with their attention, practice with the 9-round breathing. And it's just 8:30. If people have about 4 more minutes, what I would like to do is all we did at this point was practice the physical part of the 9-round breathing. But there's a visualization that goes with it in terms of the energy channels. And so now that everybody, I'd like to just kind of very slowly and quietly read that while you're doing go through the 9-round breathing. And we will again do this next week. I think it's one of the most, if you take anything away from this class, I think the 9-round breathing is one of the most skillful techniques for just kind of bringing yourself back to center, regardless of what your spiritual or philosophical orientation may be. It's just got good biology behind it. Okay, so are people comfortable with like 4 more minutes? I don't want, if anybody needs to leave, please feel free to. I don't want to. Okay. And before we start, I want to dedicate all the merit of all the positive energy that people have generated by being here, taking good care of themselves, listening, thinking, practicing for their benefit. May they and all beings be safe, be healthy, be happy. Okay, so begin by visualizing 3 psychic channels or tubes within your body that energy moves on. The channels are round and hollow, the size of a straw, and very fine, smooth, flexible, and luminous. The central channel is blue. It starts at a point midway between the eyebrows, curves up and back along the inside of the skull like the handle of an umbrella, and then down along the inside of the spine to a point 4 finger widths below the navel. The right channel is red and runs from the right nostril back and then downward along the right side of the central channel to an end at the point 4 finger widths below the navel. The left channel is white and also runs from behind the left nostril down along the left side of the spine to end 4 fingers below the navel. For this meditation, imagine that the ends of the 3 channels join together at this point 4 fingers below the navel. Just take a minute and see if you can get this visualization of the central blue, right red, left white, joining 4 fingers below the navel. Now holding the left nostril closed with an index finger, inhale slowly and fully through the right nostril. Imagine that you are sending the breath all the way down to the end of your right channel. Imagine that the breath flows from the right into the left channel as you move your index finger to hold the right nostril closed. Now exhale slowly and fully through the left nostril. As the breath leaves the left nostril, imagine that all the distractions, mental dullness, and negativities are expelled with the breath. Repeat 2 more times, inhaling through the right nostril and exhaling through the left. And again, imagining that all of the distractions, mental dullness, and negativities are expelled with each out breath. Now, reverse the process, holding the right nostril closed with your index finger. Breathe in deeply through the left nostril, sending the breath all the way down to the end of the left channel. As the breath moves into the right channel, move your index finger to hold the left nostril closed. Exhale slowly and fully through the right nostril. As the breath leaves the right nostril, imagine that all the impurities are expelled with the breath. Repeat 2 more times, inhaling through the left nostril and exhaling through the right. Now inhale slowly and deeply through both nostrils, sending the air down to the right and left channels. As you exhale, imagine that the breath is expelled up and out through the central channel. As you breathe out, imagine that you're expelling all distractions, negativities out through a point between the 2 brows. Repeat 2 more times. Now imagine that the 3 channels are completely clean and luminous. You can repeat this as many times as you need. And if after 2 or 3 rounds your mind feels settled, just spend a few minutes quietly watching your breath. And then if you're moving to, let's say, an analytic meditation, which we'll learn later. Thank you. if you have any questions, I'll be here for a few minutes afterwards. Yeah, I'll be here for a few minutes afterwards. And we will start next week to see if there's any questions, and I'll talk more about the 9-round breathing. Okay? Thank you, everyone, for being here. Wow. I hope everyone has a wonderful night's sleep and a good rest of the week. Oh, they don't want to work.